Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita series of 2021, which is going on all the way into 2023. So we will complete chapter 15 today, and we will start chapter 16 as well. So let us start with the Mangalacharan prayers. I will share my screen from here. And we will get started. Hopefully you all can see the screen. Okay. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, well, thanks everyone once again for joining. And let me set this up. Okay. So we are in chapter 15. We covered up to shloka number 15.15. And now we are going into a new section of chapter number 15, where Lord Krishna is going to give the essence of all Vedic knowledge. So, a very, very quick recap of where we are in chapter 15. Lord Krishna started with explaining the nature of the material world as an inverted tree, how we are entangled in it, and what is our goal is to get out of this entanglement of this material world where we are entangled by cutting the tree, or by cutting ourselves out of the tree and going to Vaikuntha Loka. Yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. So going to that param dham, Vaikuntha Loka, by surrendering to Krishna. And then Krishna also explained how we are entangled in this material world by our attraction to the various sense objects, Vishayan Bhogan. So we desire to bhoga, to enjoy the sense objects. And that makes us entangled. And we go from body to body with various sense organs to enjoy the material world. With particular type of sense organs, we enjoy something. With a different type of sense organs, we enjoy something else. Like this, we are going from body to body. It's like a bee going from flower to flower to flower to enjoy. So like this, we are entangled in the material world. But Lord Krishna is helping us throughout this journey. He has not left us alone. He helps us at the whole sustaining the whole material world at a, like we discussed, the cosmological, terrestrial, physiological, and finally at a spiritual level, where the Lord guides us as the Paramatma within our heart, where he says, it's a very important verse, in the 15th verse, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishto, that I am sitting in everyone's heart, and Mattaha Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha, and from me comes remembrance, forgetfulness, and knowledge. So all the avidya, the Paramatma is helping us to forget, and all the vidya, the Lord is helping us to remember. And the vidya is coming also from the Lord, Vedaischa Sarvair Aham Eva Vedyo, that this vidya or the Vedas are coming from the Lord, and Vedanta Krit Vedavid Eva Chaham, that he is the essence of all the Vedas as well. So all this Lord Krishna described how he is helping us from during our stay in this material world. Now Lord Krishna is going to describe the essence of the Vedas or the essence of the Vedanta. So we will start here. I will share my screen again, the whiteboard. I enjoyed this experience of the whiteboard in this class. So, but I will not use it for the next Bhagavad Gita class, which is going on. That is more faster. And if I start writing down, then it will take more time. So I hope you can see the whiteboard here. Okay, very nice. Thank you for confirming, Suri Prabhu. Okay, so we are in chapter 15, and we will go from 16 to 20, verse number 16 to 20. Okay, so what is the essence of these 5 verses? This is a new section of chapter 15. And we can say that this section is essence of all Vedic knowledge. If you remember, we started chapter 15. One of the main points of chapter 15 was that Lord Krishna obviously has described everything, all the main points so far. Chapter 1 could ask the question, what about the Vedas or the Vedic knowledge? Chapter 15 is going to answer this question. And the main point is that whatever knowledge is present in the Bhagavad Gita is no different than the knowledge in the Vedas. So one should not think that if I'm reading Bhagavad Gita, I'm missing out on the Vedas. Or after reading Bhagavad Gita, now I need to add to this body of knowledge by reading the Vedas. If one has read the Bhagavad Gita nicely, he can safely assume that the knowledge of the Vedas is also included in this understanding. And that is the main purpose of this chapter. So this whole section is describing the essence of the Vedas. And essence means 2 things, I will say. The most confidential part of the Vedas, that is the essence, we can say is the core, we can say, or most confidential part of the Vedas. Also, we can say as the least known part of the Vedas. So that is going to come up in the next section in this in these 5 verses. So what is the sequence? The sequence of the verses is like this. So here we have verse number 16, 17, and 18. This is one subsection. So in these 3 verses, without saying directly, Lord Krishna is describing the Brahman realization. Now, this has been done so far once in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 6. I forget the exact number, something like 26, 27 up to 30. So in those verses, Lord Krishna has described this. This is the second time when Lord Krishna is describing this sequence of Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, and Bhagawan realization. These three realizations are going to be described in these three verses, one by one. And the third place where this will be described is in the ending of the 18th chapter, when Lord Krishna once again will talk about Guhya, Guhya Taram, and Guhya Tamam. So this is Guhya Tara, and this is Guhya Tama. Okay, like good, better, best. Tara means better, and Tama means best. So three levels. So Guhya, Guhya Tara, and Guhya Tama. And Lord Krishna will call out this aspect of Guhya Tama as well in the next verse, in a later verse. So we have discussed this Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan realization many times. And that is what Lord Krishna, so I'm not going to go into the details of that, but the fact, in a summary way, we will discuss it as we go along in 16, 17, and 18. Another very important point that he is going to describe is that Lord Krishna, that Krishna or Paramatma is superior to both. One is Jivatma and the second is Prakriti. So this fact is also very clearly described, and the fact that Paramatma is superior to Jivatma defeats one branch of Mayavad. Mayavad means that I can become God, or I am God, but I don't realize it right now. The moment that realization comes, there will be no difference between me and God, or me and Paramatma. So what this is saying is that Jivatma is not equal to Paramatma. This will be also very clearly established in this verse, or in this set of verses, that Jivatma is not equal to Paramatma. So all these points will be covered in these verses, 16, 17, and 18. Then 19 and 20 will describe that upon knowing this knowledge, of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, what should one do, or what can a jiva do? So we will have a little bit more discussion on this. Jiva should engage in Krishna Bhakti. So that is the understanding, or that is the conclusion of Lord Krishna that he will provide with full bhava, or love. And finally, in the 20th verse, Lord Krishna will say, this is the most confidential, guhyatamam, most confidential part of not only the Vedas, of all Shastras. So Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Shastras. So Lord Krishna in the last verse will declare, or will reveal, that the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is the essence, or Guhyatamam, the most confidential, the most essential part of all Shastras. So if one knows that, which one knows through Bhagavad Gita, then one knows the essence of all Shastric knowledge. There is absolutely nothing else remains to be known, which Lord Krishna has said many other times, that after knowing this, nothing shall remain to be known. So this is the sequence, as you can see, of the verses. The last 5 verses, I will show it on one screen so one can see it clearly. This whole thing starting from here. The sequence of 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. These 5 verses are being covered now. All right. So everybody is ready to go into these 5 verses. And these 5 verses are considered some of the most important or celebrated verses of the Bhagavad Gita. Many people love the 15th chapter, and within the 15th chapter, these 5 verses they love the most, and within these 5, the last 2 verses they love the most. So we will see that. Okay, so we will go into, and like always, please pay very careful attention. This part will be a little bit theoretical. The realization of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagawan aspects. And then we will start with 16th chapter, which will be highly practical. There cannot be something more practical than that, or very few things more practical. So this is a little bit theoretical, but let's go through this. So 15th chapter, 16th verse. Okay. So Dvavimo purusho loke ksharascha kshara evacha ksharah sarvani bhutani kutastho aksharauchyate. So that is the 16th verse. So what it means? Dvavimo purusho loke. That purusha. So what is being called here as, there are 2 types of purusha. Dvav imau purusho loke. In this world, or in the material world, there are 2 types of, or in this whole creation, there are 2 types of purusha, 2 types of living entities. Okay, kshara and akshara. Kshara means fallible, and akshara means infallible. Or kshara means one who is entangled in the, who is bound, baddha jiva, who is bound in the material world. He is fallible, or he gets attracted by the various sense objects. He gets lured, and he gets distracted from Krishna. So that is fallible. Infallible means one who never gets distracted from Krishna. Whatever may happen to him, or whatever pralobhan, attractions, sense objects may be present before him, he never gets distracted from Krishna. So kshara and akshara are 2 types of living entities. That is what is being said here. Dvav imau purusha loke ksharascha akshara evacha. So just Lord Krishna is, we are on 15.16, 15th chapter, 16th verse. Okay. Kshara cha akshara evacha. So just the names are being given. Kshara sarvani bhutani. So all the sarvani bhutani. So this word sarvani bhutani means all living entities, but bhutani typically refers to living entities in the material world. Okay. So kshara, they are all kshara. So in the material world, whoever is there is entangled. That's what we started 15th chapter with, that this material world is an inverted tree where all the jivas are entangled. Of course, there are few jivas who are acharyas, or who are known as jivan mukta, who have come here for a purpose. So like, think of it like a jail. This example we have taken so many times of a jail. Most of the people living in the jail are who? The inmates. So they are the kshara, or the baddha. They are the entangled ones. But there are few also who are in the jail, who are there to correct those people who are the criminals or the inmates. So there can be people in the jail, they are known as Jivan Mukta in the material world. So they are also called Akshara. But here in this verse, what is being said is that in the material world, everybody is fallible. That's a general statement. There are exceptions. Please make a note. So don't say that even the acharyas, the fully self-realized souls who have come here to help us, they are also kshara. That exception should be kept in mind. Okay. Kutastho akshara uchyate. So it is said, uchyate means it is said, kutastho aksharaha. That the other category is kutastho. One category was sarvani bhutani, which means in the material world. The other category is kutastho akshara uchyate, which means who are merged into Brahman. Those who have gone out of this spirit of this material world, and they have merged into the Brahman. Kutastho, Srila Prabhupada translates this word as in oneness. So they have merged. Now they have not merged means they have not become one with Brahman, but they have attained the Brahma Jyoti. So that is the meaning of Kutastho. So therefore, this verse 15.16 is talking about Brahman realization. Okay. So what are the main points of this verse? So let us summarize the main points. There are two main points of this verse. One is that two types of jivas, kshara and akshara. And the second thing is Brahman realization. Merge into Brahman. Okay, and these are the akshara. And the kshara is in material world. Okay, so these are two main points in this verse. All right. Okay, let us go to the next verse. 15 point.
There is a question. There is a question. Prabhuji.
Yes, go ahead.
So, Prabhupada, His Highness Prabhupada said, Kutast means in oneness. In oneness means in oneness with Paramatma, not it is Brahman. How it is Brahman? It is with Paramatma. So in oneness.
No. In oneness means that. So how are you saying that it is one in oneness with Paramatma? Oneness in quality with Paramatma, but not in quantity. Okay.
Yes.
But this verse 15.16 is not referring to Paramatma realization. It is referring to Brahman realization. Okay. And whether it is Brahman or Paramatma or Bhagawan, the quality is spiritual of all three. Okay.
Okay.
Which means that all are of the spiritual nature. We will see here, and we have discussed this so many times, that Bhagavan is exponentially higher in quantity, but same in quality. Therefore, that quantity aspect makes Bhagavan or Jiva, even a Jiva who is self-realized, different from Bhagavan. And we will see this word different in two different ways in the next two verses. So oneness with Paramatma, actually the point that you are bringing up is directly going to be refuted in the next two verses. Okay, so let us see. You will see the word Anya and Atita. Both of those verses, both of those words mean different. Anya means different, obviously. Anya means other. Anya does not mean same. And another word is Atita. If you remember from chapter 14, this word came Guna Atita. Guna Atita means go beyond the gunas, which means go far away from the gunas, leave the gunas behind. That means create a separation, create a distance, something like that. So there is an aspect of separation or separate in the word Atita. So we will see these two words in the next two verses, which means that Jiva is different from Paramatma as well as from Bhagavan, even though he may be Akshara. Even though he may be Akshara, which means even though he may be self-realized Jiva. So this is a very important point we will cover in 17th verse. Is that clear, Ramakant Prabhu? Okay. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada's translation is of the 16th verse. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. So that was the 16th translation. So 17th verse. 17th verse is the Paramatma realization. All right. So Uttamaha Purushastva Anyaha Paramatma iti Udahritaha Yo Lokatrayam Avishya Bibharti Avyaya Ishwaraha. So this verse is saying Uttamaha Purushastva Anyaha. That means that there is something or some different, different living entity, Purusha. So if you remember the previous verse, there it was said that there are two types of Purusha, Dva Vimau Purushe Loke. Now there is a third type of Purusha, Uttama Purusha. So this is a third type of Purusha. And he is being called as Uttama Purusha. And very soon you will see that these two words will get switched. Uttama Purush will become Purushottama, and therefore this chapter is known as Purushottam Yoga. So Uttama Purushastva Anyaha. Anyaha means other than. So other than, that other than is giving rise to this third type, because two types, Dvau, has been described in the previous verse. Anyaha means other than those two, there is Uttama Purush. So that is what we are saying here. Paramatma iti udahritaha. Udahrita means it is said. Yo loka, so that is the next concept. Who is this Paramatma? Okay. Paramatma is one who has entered the material world to sustain it, to keep it together. Okay. Yo loka trayam avishya. So in the three worlds, trayam, avishya means entered. Trayam avishya, bibharti avyaya ishvaraha. He is the Ishvara, who is bibharti, means who is sustaining or maintaining this whole trayam loka, triloka, or the three worlds. Okay, which the trayam loka refers to the entire material world. Okay. So the translation by Srila Prabhupada is, besides these two, Tva Anya, there is the greatest living personality, the Uttama Purusha, or the Supreme Soul, whose name is now given, Paramatma iti udahritaha. So that is Paramatma. So very clearly there is no scope for misinterpretation here. Lord Krishna is not leaving any scope. He has given all the terminology and he has connected all these things. The imperishable Lord himself, he is the Ishvara. He is not the same as the previous two jivas, Kshara and Akshara. Yo loka trayam avishya. Oh, sorry. The imperishable Lord himself, who has entered the three worlds, the three loka, and is maintaining them. Bibharti. He is maintaining the three worlds. All right. So this is the Paramatma realization. So what are the main points of this verse? Okay. So first main point is Anya, other than, which means there is a third Purusha. You can call it third or first, depending on your bhakti. Yeah, first is better because he's the first, and then second, third, fourth one. So third, we'll just say third type, different. And this is Paramatma. Now the fact that Paramatma is equal to Purushottama has not yet come, but that will come in the next verse. To equate that Paramatma is none other than Purushottama. He's called as Purushottama. But you can see that the two words are present, Uttama Purusha. Okay. in this verse itself. So that person is Paramatma. That third person is Paramatma. And another point, he has entered all the three worlds. And this means material world, material creation. And the fourth point is he is sustaining the material creation. Okay. So these are the four nice points in this verse. Okay. Clear? Did we read the translation? Yeah. So I just wanted to quickly show what is the meaning of this. He has entered all the three worlds. So this three, I don't remember if we have discussed in the past or not, but these are known as the Purusha avatars. The three Purusha avatars. So I have a picture here which I want to show. So can you see this picture? Is this being shared? Yes? Okay, great. So on top here, you must have seen this. We have used this picture so many times. And it is also available on that Gita PDX folder. You can reach it through the website gitapdx.com. And there is a link called, I think, important material or useful material or something like that. Interesting documents. Yeah, you click there, it will take you to Google Drive, where this I have put it there. So this is the spiritual world, but we will talk about the material world, because in the material world, the Paramatma enters the Triloka, Trayam Loka. So that is referring to material world. There is no three lokas in spiritual worlds. There are unlimited lokas in spiritual world, not three. So if you see here, I don't know if my pencil will point, but you see Maha Vishnu. So that is the first entry of the Lord. He is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu or Lord Narayana in the spiritual world. He is Maha Vishnu, also known as Karanodakasayi Vishnu. So he is the first one who enters the entire material world. There is one Karanodakasayi Vishnu in the whole material world. From him, the various universes emanate from the pores of his body. With every breath, they come out. Exhalation, with inhalation, they all go back in. So he is the first Paramatma, and therefore he is sustaining the entire material world. So the first one is Karanodakasayi Vishnu. Then in each universe, that in the exhalation that gets created, so there you can see all these small bubbles like universes that are coming out. One of them has been enlarged. And in this enlarged one, the Lord enters again. He takes another avatar. And that is known as Garbhodakasayi Vishnu, because he is on the Garbhodaka ocean. So Garbhodakasayi, he is sleeping or resting on the Garbhodaka ocean. The first one is known as the Karanodakasayi. So that is known as the Karana ocean. So he is Karanodakasayi. He is resting on the Karana ocean. So Garbhodaka ocean, this is Garbhodakasayi Vishnu. It is at the bottom of the picture for those of you who are seeing on the Zoom. He is the one who is sitting on the Ananta Shesha with Mother Lakshmi at his feet. And from his navel comes out the lotus flower on which Lord Brahma takes birth, and then he goes on and creates further based on the instructions of Lord Garbhodakasayi Vishnu. And then that material world gets populated by unlimited number of living entities. And within each living entity, the Lord again enters as the Kshirodakasayi Vishnu. And that we call as Paramatma within the heart. That is what is mentioned in all the verses as Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishto, that in the all living entities. Or what is that verse? Yantra Runhani. What is that? Ishvaraha Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantra Rudhani Mayaya, 18.61. So where the Lord is in the heart, sitting in the heart, Hridi, no, what is that? Once again. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hrid Deshe Arjuna Tishtati. He's sitting in the region of the heart, Hrid Deshe. So that is the Kshirodakasayi Vishnu, and within this body. So those are the three Vishnus, and Paramatma is sustaining our physiological body. Garbhodakasayi Vishnu is sustaining the universe, and Karanodakasayi Vishnu is sustaining the whole material creation as Paramatma of those individual three entities. The whole material world as one entity, a universe as the next level entity, and our body as the third level entity. Okay. So that is an explanation of the. So he is sustaining this. So we have discussed the Karanodakasayi, Garbhodakasayi, and Kshirodakasayi Vishnu. This is our body. This is our universe. And this is of entire. So he is the Paramatma of. This means Paramatma of what? Of entire material world. Okay. So that three loka could be understood in two ways: at these three levels, or the three levels of the material world itself. Okay, or these three levels: the entire material world, the universe, or our body as the planet, or as the entity. So like this, Paramatma is sustaining at all these three levels. Yo loka trayam avishya vibharti avyaya ishvaraha. He is the Ishwar of all these three levels. Okay, so once again, the summary is the main points. We have four. He is other than the two. So other than the two. So which means that Kshara Jiva or the Akshara Jiva cannot become equal to the Anya, the Purushottama Jiva, or the Paramatma, or the Param Jiva. And his name is Paramatma, and he has entered all the three worlds and he's sustaining them. Okay, great. 15.18, third verse. And this is the Bhagavan realization. So if you see in the previous two verses, aham or mai, mama, none of those words appeared. So the Lord was not talking about himself, Lord Krishna as the person, as the Bhagavan. So here then he says, Yasmat ksharam atito aham. So atita word is coming. He is beyond, like guna atita, beyond the gunas. Atita. So yasmat ksharam atito aham aksharad apicha uttamaha. So I am beyond the kshara and akshara. Atita. So how can we say that the kshara or akshara jiva is the same as aham, as Krishna? And then he says, Ato asmi loke vedecha prathitaha purushottamaha. That I am known in the Vedas as that Purushottama. So whatever is mentioned in the Vedas as the Purushottama, I am that. He says, Ato asmi. Asmi means I am, isn't it? Asmi is I am. So the translation given by Srila Prabhupada is, because I am, he says here, asmi, I am. Also he says, yasmat ksharam atito aham, I am transcendental too. I am atita, I am beyond, I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible. And because I am the greatest, I am celebrated, pratitaha, celebrated, in both in the world and in the Vedas. Both. So here the Lord says, Ato asmi loke vede cha. In all the words and in all the Vedas, I am celebrated as that supreme person, Prathitah Purushottama. So very simple. So Lord is saying that I am. So what are the main points? What is he saying? I am beyond Akshara and Kshara. I am beyond those. Isn't it? He clearly is saying that in the first two lines. Yasmat Ksharam Atito Aham. This is beyond Atita. Aham. I am. Okay. The second point is saying that I am the Supreme Lord, or I am the Supreme or topmost. Uttamaha. Okay. So this I am beyond Kshara and Akshara, we discussed here as well. Anya, other than. Okay. So beyond Kshara and Akshara. The third point that is being made here is I am the Purushottama mentioned in the Vedas and all lokas, we will say. So whatever the rishis and the saintly people, whoever worship the Purushottama, Lord Krishna is in the 18th verse saying, I am that. I am the Purushottama. So there is no difference. Whoever is worshipping the Supreme Lord, the Purushottama, the Supreme Person, Lord Krishna is that. Same person. There is no difference. One should not consider Lord Krishna to be different. There can be no more proof. So this verse establishes, is one of the verses that establishes Krishna is God. At least that God of the Vedas, we can say. Whoever is that God mentioned in the Vedas, I am that. So if somebody asks you where in Bhagavad Gita Lord Krishna says, I am God, here 15.18 he says. Which God? The same God mentioned anywhere in the Vedas. Okay. Okay. So this is the Bhagawan realization. And it is the same Krishna who is standing in front of Arjuna. No other one. Okay. No other aspect. No other inside Krishna. What is the self inside me? I have read some Bhagavad Gitas, the self inside me. Well, the self inside me, if it is there, then in the previous verse, it has been covered. Paramatma, who is sustaining the three. That is the Paramatma inside the body of Krishna. If Krishna is just a body outside and the real person, the real self is inside, then we should have been done at the previous verse. Isn't it? This verse is going beyond. Okay, so Krishna is God. So that has been established. Okay. Now, if somebody still has a doubt, so Lord Krishna is not leaving anything to doubt. People say Bhagavad Gita is complicated or hard to understand, too many interpretations. It's all dependent on who interprets. What is the interpretation? It's all subject to interpretation. That is largely true for Vedanta Sutra, little bit less for the Upanishads, and totally not true for Bhagavad Gita. We will go directly to the Sanskrit. And Lord Krishna is like explaining the Bhagavad Gita to a child. Why would Lord Krishna give a confusing explanation? You have a small child, Mataji. Have you ever, if she asks you a question, do you deliberately give a confusing answer? What kind of answer do you try to give?
So that she understands and clear, basically.
Clear and simple to her level, right? She's not, Einstein, right? She's a small child. So we are all like small children. Lord Krishna will tell us in the simple way. Why will he overcomplicate anything for us? So let us look at the 19th verse. 15.19. Okay. If anybody still has a doubt, then Lord Krishna is saying, Yo mam evam asammudho. Asammudho word is there. Do not have a doubt. Asammudha is a person without a doubt. So Lord Krishna is saying, do not have a doubt. Okay. Janati purushottamam. So one who knows without a doubt. So even though the sentence is framed as one who knows without a doubt, the understanding is you should not have any doubt. Okay, because the next point will come as to who can perform this bhakti, who is eligible to perform bhakti, the true bhakti who can perform. Okay, this is the highest level of bhakti. Bhakti also comes in various levels. We will talk about it when we get to the next two lines, C and D. So let us talk about the first two lines. Yo mam evam asammudho janati purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. So now bhakti is clearly established, just like in the 13th chapter it was established. 13.19 bhakti was established. 14th chapter it was clearly established. 14.26 vyabhicharini bhakti. And 15th chapter it is established very clearly. Sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. With full bhava, he performs bhakti. So let us see what is 15.19. So translation is, whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So whoever, so Lord Krishna is connecting me, himself, to Purushottama. Okay, he's saying, I am Purushottama. Without doubting, no doubt, asammudho, very important word. So nobody should have a doubt. 15th chapter very clearly says, do not have a doubt. Is the knower of everything. Sarvavid, he knows the essence. And Lord Krishna has already said that this is the essence of the Vedas. So from the Vedas, one should accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without any doubt. What if? But what about? Fill in the blank. But what about this? But what about that? That TV serial said so and so. That Babaji I saw on YouTube said so and so. This person, my grandmother, or this Pandit ji or that Guru ji or that, all these things. But what about? We should get rid of all the but what abouts. Asammudho. And finally, he therefore engages in full devotional service to me. Bhajati mam sarva bhavena, full devotional service. So sarva bhavena bhakti, O son of Bharata. Okay, so let us go into a little bit, what are the main points? Okay, without a doubt, Lord Krishna again establishes. What does he establish? Krishna is same as Paramatma of the Vedas, because it is said here, Sarvavid. He understands the Vedas. Who knows this? If you know this, you know Vedas. If you don't know this, you don't know Vedas. You have missed the point. If you don't know this, you have missed the point of Vedas. If you know this, you know the main point of the Vedas. So that is point number one. The second point is, so actually these are 2 points. I could have broken it down into 2 points. Doubt is 1 point and Krishna is same as, so I will put this here, 1, 2. And I will make this 3. The third point is, one who knows this engages in my bhava bhakti. We can put it like that. I'm just making it up on the fly because it is said here, bhajati mam sarva bhavena, with full bhava. We can say with full heart, with full devotional service. Engages in bhava bhakti, and which leads to prema bhakti, and that is a detailed topic to be discussed later. Okay. So it is not, by the way, that one who, I don't realize that Krishna, I have doubts. I'm sure some of you have doubts as well. That is why we are all pursuing material nature. We are all still in the pursuit of, we are all afflicted by the sufferings, pangs of material nature, which means we are not fully, we have doubts. A person who is asammudha will not have any suffering in the material world. We all have suffering in material world, yes. So which means there are some doubts. But that shouldn't stop us from doing bhakti. But that is not the topmost bhakti. So the topmost bhakti is described. So there are levels of bhakti. So this does not mean that sa sarvavid bhajati mam, that person who knows this, bhajati mam sarva bhavena. Yes, he can do it with full bhava. So he engages in my, we can say here, 100% bhava bhakti. We can say like that. But we can do 50%, maybe 5%, maybe 0.005% we can do. We may not be able to do 100% bhava bhakti. That is what this means. It does not mean zero. It is definitely greater than 0%. As mathematicians would say, non-zero. Non-zero. Something more than zero we can definitely do, whatever be our consciousness. Okay. So there are levels of bhakti. Where are levels of bhakti described? Who can say? Quiz. Which chapter? Come on. 12. Very nice. Next level. Which verses? Which verses? 12? You should know the verses. No, those are the qualities of a bhakta that endears one to Krishna. So before that, 12.8 to 12, 5 verses. And in 8th verse is this 100% bhakti. This is the 100% verse. But then Lord Krishna describes all these 4 levels. 12.8, 12.9, 12.10, 12.11, 12.12. Lord Krishna is describing all these levels. If you cannot do 100%, then do 75%, then do 50%, then do 10%, then do 5%, whatever. I'm just making it up. Something you do. So Lord Krishna is not saying that, oh, first you have to wait to become asammudha. Without doubt, then only you can do my bhajan. No, one should not take away that understanding. You ask them why you are not doing Krishna bhakti. No, I'm cleaning my heart first. I'm becoming a good person. In 200 lifetimes, when I become a good person, then I will do bhakti. No, start today. Okay, so that is one and more point to be covered. So one who knows this, even a little bit, we can say, engages in my bhakti. Okay. He therefore engages in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Okay, so that is 19th verse. So the main points are, one should try to eliminate all doubts and have no doubt that the Vedas and Krishna are one in this, or rather the essence, the main teaching of the Vedas. Whoever is that celebrated person in the Vedas is none other than Krishna. And do Krishna bhakti. Okay. So that is 15.19, last verse, 15.20. Okay. Iti guhyatamam shastram. Done. Iti guhyatamam shastram. This is the guhyatamam shastram, most confidential part of what? Iti guhyatamam Bhagavad Gita. No, not only Bhagavad Gita, Shastram of all Shastras. Nothing else is left in the Shastras to be obtained. This is the juice. Idam uktam maya anagha. etad buddhva buddhiman syat krita krityah cha bharata. So two things, there are two main points. So the first we'll just do anvay. Iti guhyatamam shastram. This is the most confidential, guhyatama. Remember, guhya, guhyatara, guhyatama. So guhyatamam shastram. This is the most confidential part of all the shastras. Idam uktam mayanagha. And this I have told uktam or uktam. I have told you this, my dear anagha, my dear sinless Arjuna. Etad buddhva buddhiman syat. That with this understanding, the intelligent person, an intelligent person, or you can say one who has this understanding is intelligent, or an intelligent person with this understanding. Krita krityah cha bharata. What does that mean? That whatever action he does, okay, becomes free of any entanglement. Okay, or his action becomes perfect. Which means what kind of action it becomes? Karma, vikarma, akarma, in that terminology, akarma. Okay. So doing action with full Krishna consciousness becomes free of all reactions. And this is Lord Krishna is encouraging Arjuna to fight. Basically saying whatever action you do, do it with Krishna consciousness. Then it will be krita krityaha, means fully perfect. So what are the main points? So the translation is, this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, Guhyatamam Shastram, O sinless one, Anagha, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise. Okay, whoever understands this fully will become buddhiman. And his endeavors will know perfection. Krita kritya. All his endeavors will become perfect. So what are the main points? Number one is that this is the essence of the Vedas, or we can say essence or the topmost conclusion of not only the Vedas, of all Shastras. Okay. And second thing is, by knowing this, and knowing just doesn't mean superficially knowing, knowing with conviction in your heart, ready to jump off a cliff with this knowledge, if this knowledge tells you so, right? Like if you are in space, you know there is no gravity, you're willing to jump off because you know you will not fall. You are an expert in physics, so you know there is no gravity, it won't fall, so you jump off. So that's called knowledge. With conviction, you are ready to jump off. So by knowing this with conviction, all endeavors will become perfect. Okay. All right. So that is the conclusion of 15th chapter. So where else in Bhagavad Gita it is said that by full Krishna consciousness, the work becomes akarma? Another place it is said. Again, you must know all the connections of Bhagavad Gita. So where else it is said? 8.7? No. 8.7 says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhacha. What is the next line? Mai arpita manobuddhir mam evaishyasi ashamshayaha. So where it says about akarma? Yeah, but it becomes akarma. That second part also, I mean, I'm asking for a very special, like that you can connect almost 10, 20 verses. So let us see. So which chapter?
417.
No,
Fourth
417
chapter.
is simply 417 is simply Yes. What is that? Karmano cha bodhavyam, akarmana something bodhavyam, then
Akarmanasya bodhavyam bodhavyam cha vikarmana akarma.
yes, that is 4.17, and then grahana karmano gatihi. So I'm talking about this 9th chapter, 27 and 28. So 27 and 28. So 27 is describing how to do your work. Yad karoshi yad ashnashi yad juhoshi dadasi yad tapasyasi kaunteya tad kurushva madarpanam, which means doing all activities in Krishna consciousness. This is talking about doing. And by doing this next verse, what happens? Shubha ashubha phalairevam. What happened? Shubha ashubha phalairevam mokshashe karma bandhanai. By doing 27th verse, what is the result? That all the phala, whether it is shubha or ashubha, you will be moksha, you will be free from karma bandhana of the shubha or ashubha phala. Same thing is being said in the last line of 15.20, that with this consciousness, one who does, he is karma kritya, or what is that? Krita kritya. Okay. Sannyasa yoga yuktatma vimukto mam upaishyasi. Okay, great. So that is the ending of 15th chapter. Okay. So in one of the lectures, I found this sort of just a quick summary I found of remember the inverted tree, which is a reflection of the spiritual world. The material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. Just a quick summary of the spiritual world and material world. Okay. So material world is a perverted reflection. Didn't we say that? That it is a reflection, but when there are waves in the water, then the image is not very clear. It is a disturbed or a distorted image of the spiritual world, isn't it? So I found a reference, not a Shastric reference, but a very nice devotee mentioned 6 attributes of the spiritual world. I just want to show those, and the 6 counter attributes in the material world and their explanation. Very nice. I think you'll like it, and for our benefit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there is love in the spiritual world. Love for whom? For Krishna and his devotees. Okay. And on the material world side, there is lust, which means you love yourself. Lust is what? Love for yourself and your desires. Everything is about me. I want this, I want this. It is your job, to give me love. Here it is my job to give love to Krishna. So both are similar but opposite. Similar but opposite kind of joke. The next one is humility. That Krishna is great, I am small. Okay. And the counter is pride. I am great, everybody else is small. Okay. So it is just a change of who is great, who is small. So humility is Krishna is great and I am small. Then there is compassion. In the material world, in the spiritual world, and the way it has been described is you serve the devotee of the devotee. Okay, like Rupa Manjari. Who is Rupa Manjari in the spiritual world? one of the assistants of Srimati Radharani. Okay, or the topmost assistant of Srimati Radharani. So Rupa Manjari doesn't desire to directly serve Krishna, but desires to serve Srimati Radharani, who serves Krishna. So let other devotees serve Krishna, I will serve them. So there is there is compassion, you go serve. Whereas here there is greed. I want to hog all the service. Why you should do? I want to do. So there is compassion and there is greed. Then there is satisfaction with whatever I get. And I am fully satisfied with the knowledge that Krishna loves me. Okay? And this will come next. There is knowledge. So we will kind of cover both of these together. Satisfaction with whatever I get, with the full knowledge that Krishna loves me. Okay? So a child, if he knows that the mother loves me fully, he will never be dissatisfied, even though he may see another child who may have iPhone and I don't have any phone. He'll know my father loves me or my mother loves me. They cannot afford phone, but I have the full love of my parents. The child will be satisfied, isn't it? Can you imagine that situation? Even though he may come from a poor family, if he knows that there is love, so there is satisfaction and there is envy. Envy means never satisfied, always wanting what other person has, always feeling a sense of incompleteness. I don't have enough, and I am not loved by anyone. In the spiritual world, the living entities have 100% conviction that Krishna loves me fully. Whether I get a chance to personally serve him or not, whether I am samipya, close to him or not, whether I do direct service or indirect service or serving the devotee of the devotee of the devotee, one has full knowledge that Krishna loves me. I have the full knowledge. Here, the envy. Nobody loves me. They love somebody else is loved more than I am loved. Okay, so envy and illusion. That illusion is there. And the sixth one is appreciation. Appreciation for Krishna and his devotees. And there is, contrary is anger towards God, towards his devotees, and towards everyone, including their own self. There is anger. You're following? So this is a nice comparison between the spiritual and material world. Sort of how the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. Okay? So I thought this was good. Okay. So this is the leeway into chapter 16. Why we discussed this? So that we can come from here to here. That is the Bhagavad Gita. Come from material world to spiritual world, or come from these qualities to these qualities. So that takes us into what? Chapter 16. Okay? So what is the time? 7:10. Okay, nice. So we'll start with chapter 16. Okay, are there any questions? So we are done with chapter 15. Chapter 15 done. Yes, Neeru Mataji.
Prabhuji, I'm a little bit confused. You talked about Garbhodakasayi Vishnu, who sustained the universe. So when Lord takes a
one given universe, yes.
Yeah. So when Lord appears like Krishna, in their avatar, then what happens? It is the form of Garbhodakasayi Vishnu? Or?
No, he doesn't appear as, it is not Garbhodakasayi Vishnu who takes, the Lord personally comes from Vaikuntha Loka or from Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual world. So the Lord comes. So there can be multiple. This is the, it's not that Lord can have one sort of, what should I say, avatar. And he's the original. Garbhodakasayi Vishnu is an avatar, but at the same time, the Lord can be present in so many avatars. The Lord is present as a Kshirodakasayi Vishnu within trillions and trillions and trillions of jivas at the same time. So there we have to go back to Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. That the Lord, it's not like if the Lord is present as Garbhodakasayi Vishnu, then how can he also come as Krishna, or how can he also come as Paramatma in our heart? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is something that we don't see in the material world. Okay, if you cannot be I cannot be at two places at the same time, but Krishna can. Yeah.
Krishna and Balaram were there.
Yeah. Balaram were also there at the same time, and Balaramji is an expansion of Krishna. Okay. Ram and Lakshman were there. Anything else?
No, thanks, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, in the beginning of the, before 15.18, we talked about most confidential knowledge of the Vedas, and another point he was mentioning that least known part. Can you?
No, I was just explaining the meaning of most confidential.
And least known.
Least known means that's why it is confidential. People, the Vedas are so elaborate that this knowledge gets lost. It is embedded in one line, two lines, but that is the most important line of the whole thing. So you have to go with a, magnifying glass and look. Okay. I'm reading Mahabharata these days. I have said so many times, the sort of the full line by line Mahabharata kind of the thing. And it talks about so much about dharma and what's the right thing to do, and there was this what is that? Arjuna goes to the Swayamvar ceremony, and no, not Swayamvar. Sorry. So much Mahabharata is confusing. Rajasuya Yagya was happening, and there was this big discussion happened. In the Rajasuya Yagya, they have to nominate a chairperson, as known as what you call maybe as the Agra Puja. Okay, but I'm just looking for a Western term, like a person of honor, like the chief guest or whatever you call. And there was a long debate as to who should be that, whether it should be Bhishma, whether it should be this or that. Again, I forget, my memory is not good. Somebody then suggested, no, it should be Krishna. And there was a little bit debate, why Krishna? And finally, there was one line, because he is the Supreme Lord. What is the need to have a whole debate and about this, about that, about that, about that? And in one line, it is mentioned. I felt it is very obvious. You can come to that conclusion without having, but so that whole one line is drowned within these 200, 500 lines. So that is how the Vedas and these big scriptures describe, and you may miss that one line, which is the most important line. And finally, they, yes, honor or glorify Krishna as the chief guest or as the, that one. But, the main point I feel is easy to lose if you have not read Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita and you're just reading Mahabharata. Okay. All right. Yes.
You mentioned like there are three worlds, right? You mentioned like Karanodakasayi Vishnu, Garbhodakasayi Vishnu, Kshirodakasayi Vishnu in relation to that. But what are exactly those three worlds?
They are known as, my understanding is they are known as the upper worlds, the middle world, which is the earth planet, and the lower worlds.
The Pakala and all.
Yes.
Earth is, and then upper Brahma Loka and all.
Yes. So that is my understanding. Again, it is given a little bit here in this chart. Where is that chart? Sorry. Yeah, here you can see this this circle of the words, and there are 6 above and 7 below. And then there is the Bhuloka in the middle. So total 14. Okay. So there is, I can't even see with my glasses. Bhuvarloka, Swargaloka, Maharloka, Janaloka, Taploka, and Satyaloka or Brahmaloka. So that is 6. Okay. Yeah.
So you mentioned about the essence of the Vedas we were talking about. I remember in the 2nd chapter, Krishna mentions that I think the example of the well,
Hmm.
the purpose of the river can be
Yes.
the well. I think he gives hint. I think he mentions that in the 15th chapter. That's one thing too. And the other part he mentioned was about doubtful, having doubt. What happens if you have doubt? I think he mentioned the 4th chapter.
4th chapter, last
40th
verse.
Or 40th verse, 3 categories he mentions.
Yes.
Samshaya.
Yes. Samshayatma vinashyati or something, that the one with doubts perishes.
Yes.
Yes. So for those on the Zoom, sorry. For those on the Zoom, yes, these points have already been mentioned about the Vedas, how they are. Lord Krishna tells Arjuna in 44, 45, 46th verse of 2nd chapter. And in the last couple of verses of the 4th chapter, those for 2nd chapter 44, 45, 46, he talks about, don't worry about Vedas. And the purpose of the Vedas will be served through Bhagavad Gita. And in the 4th chapter, last couple of verses, Lord Krishna is also talking about doubts. That one should not have doubts. One should trust Krishna's words. And the main thing which we understand from Shastra is doubts on scriptures, which will be an essential part of the 16th chapter, which is coming up. Okay.
When from the definition to is the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila 4th chapter, verse 163, the definition of karma and prema.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So what should we do now? It is 7:20. We will start with 16th chapter. So we will stop the recording and we will restart the recording just so that we have 2 different recordings. Okay. Oh, I didn't. So today we are at a different location. Has Mataji joined? I'm just
She usually watches recordings.
okay. I don't have those questions with me right now. Okay. We will answer them separately. I will probably do a separate Q&A recording and post it. So we'll stop the recording here and we will start a new recording. Don't leave. I'm just stopping the recording and starting a new one so that the 16th chapter is in a separate recording. Hare Krishna.